And gentlemen and game designers, we're going to learn about Unity using Roll-A-Ball. So these are the things that we're going to be learning about in your notes. Make sure that you're always taking notes on things in red. Don't write it down word for word, but answer the questions in your own word, as short, as sweet as you can, but in a way that helps you to understand and pass the test. But answer the question, which of these concepts that we're going to learn is totally dumb? Make sure you're taking notes, doing what it says, and make sure that if you can't figure stuff out, ask a neighbor. If your neighbor can't help you, ask me and I'll help you. But you got to get all of this stuff done and learn. All right, question number 1. What makes Unity so great? Before we answer that question, though, make sure that you have created an account in Unity, that you've copied Roll-A-Ball to your flash drive, and that you're opening up Roll-A-Ball. Well, what makes Unity so great? Well, the two really good engines are Unreal Engine and Unity. And we like Unity in this class because, number 1, it's free for me, free for you. Number 2, it's pretty easy to learn for beginners. But you can also make professional grade games. It has a really good workflow that I feel is easy to use. And the other thing I like about it, it uses C#, which is a really good transition from Java. So if you understand Java, you'll understand C#. And I like that about it. But here's other things that are great about Unity. So you can make professional AAA games. You can make 2D games. You can make 3D games. It targets a variety of platforms. So it works on the Mac. It works on Linux. It works on phones. It works on iPhone. It works on Android. So it's professional grade. You can make professional grade games with it, but you'll need to pay if you're doing that. But for beginners, it's free and it's really easy to use, which is nice. So a lot of games will have similar things. A lot of games are going to have gravity. A lot of games are going to have collisions, and shadows and things like that. A lot of stuff that you're going to use in most games is built in. It has a good workflow, so you can make games quickly. It has a high degree of cross-platform support, which we discussed already. And then a nice thing about it, it has a modular component system that we're going to talk about, not in this video, but the next one. But that's definitely a bonus of Unity. Now, let's talk about the Unity interface. We're going to go over all the stuff. Okay, so hopefully you have Roll-A-Ball open. I have Roll-A-Ball open. The first thing we're going to do is we have the Scene tab. The Scene tab is where you build your game. Okay, and then the Game tab is where you play the game. So if I hit play here, it shows you what the game is going to look like. And you can see where it's counting. At any rate, so the game is where you're going to play the game. The scene is where you design the game. So right now I'm kind of trying to design and play at the same time, but I'm going to hit pause right there, and I'm going to go to the Scene tab. Now in the Scene tab, you can click on this thing and you can move around the game. You can click on this and you can move stuff around. Okay, so I'm going to click on the count text. I'm going to move that around. Okay, you can click on the rotate button, so I can click and I can rotate stuff. Okay, you can go to the scale tool. So I'm going to click on the player, the Roll-A-Ball, and I'm going to go to the scale tool, and I can make that much bigger. I can make it taller if I want. Okay, so I can make it bigger or taller if I want. Okay, so those are things you can do there. Let's keep looking over here and see what's next. So the Scene tab, write this down in your own words. You can see what the game looks like and move objects around. The toolbar at the left side of the toolbar are buttons for scene navigation and transforming objects. So we just looked at those buttons on the toolbar. So write that down. So write this down. Here's different ways to navigate through the scene. All right, so if I'm in the scene view and I click with the the left button, nothing happens. But if I hit Alt and I click with the left button, I can orbit through. Okay, if I click the middle mouse button, I can move stuff around. Okay, if I hit Alt, well, Alt doesn't change anything on the middle button, but if I scroll the middle button, I zoom in and out. Okay, now if I go to the right button, okay, I can orbit through. And if I hit Alt and I hit the right button, I can zoom in and out. So make sure that you know how to use all those mouse buttons to navigate through the scene. Okay, and we already learned how to use these tools to move, rotate, and scale objects. So we know how to do that. So we know what the game tab is. We know how to hit play. So let's talk about the inspector. It shows the properties about the current components. So let's go over here. So I'm going to go to the scene tab and I'm going to click on, let's go to the pickup. Okay, so that's the pickup with no number on it. So, but if I go over here to the inspector, it shows all the information about the pickup. So it shows all of the components that are attached to that guy. So it has a box collider, which means things will knock into it. It has a rigid body, which means things like gravity work with it. And it has a rotator script. So another thing we're going to look at is down here. If I go to the console, this is where the game can talk to me, tell me like if there's errors and that sort of thing. But if I go to project, here's all the files and folders and all the stuff that I'm using. So one of the things I'm using is scripts, and if I double click on the rotator script, it opens up and it's like, oh, okay, so this is it's gonna change. It's gonna rotate the X, Y, and Z coordinates by 15, 30, and 45, and so that's what makes these things rotate when I hit go. Okay, let's go back to the spiel here and see what it says. Okay, but the inspector shows information properties about the current objects plus all the components that are attached to it. And the hierarchy shows a text list of all the objects in the scene, and the project and consoles are for viewing all the files in the project and messages from the code. So we already looked at that a little bit, but let's look at it again. So over here is the hierarchy, and it shows all the game objects that are in the scene. Okay, so all this stuff. So like so we have the plane that makes the floor, we have the walls. So it shows us all the stuff, all the game objects that are in the game. And then again, the project has all the folders and all the files that we're using. And the console, there's nothing in here right now, but if there's an error message, that's going to pop up here. Okay, so now we know pretty much all the stuff in this window. So Unity refers to the code files as scripts, and we already looked at a script. What is a component? In Unity, components are the functional parts of a game object that define its behavior. So I was like, well, what's a game object going to do? Well, you can pretty much tell what a game object is going to do by looking at all of its components. So for example, if we look at the player, he's going to collide into stuff. He's going to have gravity. And then if we look at the player movement script, we go to project scripts, we go to the player movement scripts. This is going to tell us, if we open that up, it's going to tell us all the stuff that he does. And so we can look at the player movement script, and here's all the stuff that he does, right? So we can look at all these components, and that's going to define the behavior of our object. Okay, so show me how to navigate through the scene and have it checked off, and show me how to transform and rotate objects and have it checked off. So what that's going to look like is you're going to go to the scoring guide, and you're going to put your name on here, and you're going to check off these first things on the scoring guide. But what you're going to do is you're going to show me that in the scene view, you can navigate through this thing using the different mouse buttons and the Alt button to zoom through it. And then you're going to also show me that you can increase the size of the rollerball. You can increase the size of one of the cubes, one of the pickups, okay? Okay, and more navigating and transforming. Move the count text and the win text so that they are more visible. So let's see, so this is not very visible. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the count text, and we're going to move it. No, I'm transforming it. I'm changing the size of it. Okay, so we're going to go to the move tool, and we're going to move it up to where you can see it, and then you're going to go to the win text, and you're going to move it up to to where you can see it. And I don't know if yours is like that, but they're blocking one another, so we're going to move it something like that. Okay, and so double check it, hit the play button. We're going to go to the game tab, and I can't see it. So I must have moved it too far. Well, I don't want to belabor it too much. Just get it. You don't need to watch me do it, but just get it to where you can see it when you hit play. I don't know why. At the moment, I'll figure it out. I'll just look more carefully. Okay, so anyway, it took me a little while to get it, but I moved it so you can see the count text. So make sure that you're doing the same thing as that. Okay, let's go to the spiel and see what's next. Oh yeah, so change the size of the rollerball and one of the pickups. So you should know how to do that. All right, write this down. You notice what is a mesh object? A mesh object is a visual object in 3D space built of lots of connected lines and shapes. So the cube and the rollerball, those are all mesh objects. All right, answer these questions. What is great about Unity? What is a component? What is a mesh object? What is the only language you can use in Unity? And the answer is C#. Describe the different parts of the Unity interface. Don't write that down, but just be able to describe it to me when I ask. All right, that's it for part 1.